Hi, uh, hello. Thanks for joining in. I'm gonna wait. Hi, yeah, glad to see you too. I'm gonna wait for a little bit so that more people can join us, and then we are going to start with the session. And I hope you guys are doing well today, and that you will learn something from this session. Um, just a couple of more minutes, guys, and then I'm gonna start off. Do you guys prefer this or do you prefer the other mod? What do you guys prefer? Okay. Yeah. I think I'm gonna set it up this way. Alright, I think I'll start off with like a very basic introduction. My name is Divya Dhankar, and I run the YouTube channel and the Instagram page by the name of Sustainability Struggles. And I try my best to be very regular there, and I try to share my journey with sustainability and how I have minor struggles every single day um, with being very sustainable. Sustainability is something that we have been taught not to follow by the way things are set up around us, but by learning things as we go and by trying to make changes, you understand that making a change is going to be a struggle in every aspect of it. So I share those struggles and I try to highlight some of those struggles and how I overcome them in my blog. So that's the reasoning behind my blog's name. So I want to tell you guys a little bit about myself, just give you a little bit of background about me. So I am a mechanical engineer by qualification. I am currently working in a solar company, and there's a sustainability story to that as well. Uh, Traditionally, mechanical engineering graduates don't generally join renewable energy companies. They are more inclined, or they tend to follow the footsteps of predecessors who generally go into hardcore mechanical engineering jobs, and that generally includes different manufacturing plants, etc., etc., and most of them are not very sustainable. So I while I was doing my graduation, that is when I realized that this is something that I do not want to be a part of. This is something that I do not want to be contributing to, and I was really disturbed by everything that I was learning regarding climate change and also environmental degradation. So that's when I decided that I don't want to be doing a core mechanical engineering job. And so then I started to change my scope of interest, and I basically picked up a few skills regarding solar, and then I got this job, and now I'm working in a solar company. It is a sustainable choice for me because I wanted to do something that was in the field of engineering, but at the same time not something that was accelerating the problem instead of decelerating it. So yeah, so that's the story behind that. Currently I'm in Dubai, which is something a lot of you may not know. I'm working here at the moment, and I soon plan on doing my masters. So that's just a little bit about me on the personal front. Now, moving on to talking about sustainability struggles, why I started it, how I started it, and who inspires me, and all of those things. So, I started it because I became more eco conscious with each passing day, and I was coming across a lot of information that was really disturbing me, and I was really I thought to myself, what's happening, why aren't people doing more things about it, blah blah blah. And I was really disturbed by it. And so I thought, I can't blame other people, or I cannot pass the buck and say, okay, other people should be taking care of it. I need to be actively involved as well if I feel that there is a problem. And if I don't, if I'm not a part of the solution, then I'm a part of the problem. So then I started looking into it more, and I started discovering a lot of things. I learned how every single choice that we make every single day is causing you know a lot of problems with the environment. For example, just a simple thing like, if I want to go from point A to point B, I have 10 different ways of doing it. If I choose to walk from point A to B, if it's possible, then I am doing better by the environment. And if I choose to drive my car, then I'm harming the environment, right? So those were some of the things that I started discovering. Just some of the choices that I discovered were having a negative impact, and something that I needed to be more mindful of. So then I decided that maybe if I want to change my lifestyle, maybe if I document it, if I share it with people around me, maybe more people will be inspired, more people would want to make those changes. And I try to keep all the changes that I suggest very simple, very easy to do, so that ways it's not something that's very fancy and that people feel like, oh my god, how do I do this, it's going to take so much time, it's going to take so much money, and blah blah blah. So I try to keep my changes, or whatever changes that I do in my lifestyle, very simple, very easy to do. And of course, because I am a working professional like most of you, and I do not have a lot of time to devote to particularly this, right? It has to be something that is sustainable, and that can be that can be ingrained into my lifestyle, and it doesn't cause a lot of trouble for me, right? So that is the whole idea behind my blog, and that is why I started it. That's how I started it. I started about a year ago now, on Instagram, and I also have a YouTube channel by the same name. You can check out a couple of the videos that I have made and shared there. So I basically try to do a lot of DIY things, like I try to do my own DIY beauty products and stuff, for anybody who's interested in that kind of stuff. So that ways I reduce the amount of packaging that I'm consuming. That is one thing that I do. I also like, one major thing that I'm really mindful of is the amount of waste that I'm generating. So I recycle every month. If I have to do it more frequently, then I do that as well. I also compost all my wet waste, so that ways I'm reducing a lot of the trash, and I have a garden of my own where I use the compost. So that is one thing. And I also try not to buy anything that comes in plastic, or anything that I can do myself, that I can make myself, or anything that I do not absolutely need. I used to be a shopping addict, to be very honest with you guys. I used to shop like every week. There used to be a new parcel that used to come into my apartment every week. And that is a story of 2 years ago. But now I have learned to live happily and be content with the amount of things that I have. And now I only buy things if and when necessary. I have also not shopped a new article of clothing in over a year almost now, and I plan not to buy any new clothes, because I find that second hand clothing is just as good as or hand me downs is just as good as brand new clothing. So that is one other thing that I am following as well. What else am I doing? So these are just some tiny steps that I take. I try to explore new things, like composting was something really brand new for me. um, and it is still a learning process, but I'm very happy with how things are turning out with the compost that I'm generating, and by the amount of methane emissions that I'm saving. So that's one thing. I also try to save on electricity and water and all of those things, right? So that I don't like just live on the bare minimum necessities. I try to save water by, of course, turning off the tap while I'm brushing my teeth. All of those things are pretty simple, pretty basic, that everybody follows. But I also try to collect the water that I use while I'm taking a bath, and use that in my toilet to flush my toilet. So that is one other thing that I do. And also I try to use the water that I use to wash the vegetables in my garden. So yeah, that's what I do. So I'm seeing a lot of comments, and I haven't really addressed them yet. So I'm just going to start off with the first comment that I see here from the city we built. I think this is something most of us can relate with. At a point, we all realize that something, the system we are part of. Then yeah, thanks the city we built. Really appreciate it. Clothes swapping is a good idea. Yes, that is a great idea. In fact, that is something that has been taught to us since a very young age. I mean, I'm pretty sure anybody and everybody who's in India is used to that. Like, I grew up on hand-me-downs, and I still use hand-me-downs. In fact, this top that I'm wearing right now is a hand-me-down from my mom, and I have no qualms in admitting it. So it's great. Like, you can wear hands down, hand-me-downs, and you can also swap clothes, because a lot of us tend to buy clothes for one specific occasion and then never wear it. Especially in the case of girls. I'm not trying to gender stereotype anything, but I'm just saying from experience that I used to buy a lot of clothes that were only meant to be worn for one particular occasion, and then that's it. I would never want to wear it again, and blah blah blah. But of course, that's changed now, and it's better to buy things that would stay in fashion for longer, or that are more sustainable, and things that you can address in different ways. And so there are a lot of things. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of fashion bloggers that you can follow, and that you're probably already following, who can give you good advice on that stuff. Wearing one dress in XYZ number of ways and all that. So yeah, so those are some of the things you can do around clothing. Snowy for Tintin says thrift shops are yet to be established in India. That's true. So there are a lot of online thrift shops that I have already bought a lot of clothing from. There, I can't recall the name. I did use. I can share them on my Instagram page if you want to check it out there. But there are a lot of Instagram pages, online platforms that are thrift shops that I am following on my blog, and that I have ordered clothing from, and they have turned out to be amazing. And I have faced no problems with that. So there are a lot of options for people who are actually looking for options. They might not be as well advertised as the rest of the sources of buying clothing or buying other stuff, but yeah, you can definitely find a lot of like-minded people and a lot of sustainable people who do want to do uh, the good things, and who want to do things the right way, right? So it's just a matter of getting in touch with them and finding them. To be very honest, it takes some time, but once you start doing it, you kind of come into that inner circle, and then you get to know more and more people. I'm very worried about the packaging from online stores. Well, I agree with that. Of course, you have to be worried about the packaging, but there are a lot of brands, especially even skincare and even makeup brands, that are doing sustainable packaging now. And I follow all of them on my Instagram page, Snowy for Tintin. If you want, I can share their details with you via DM, and I can let you know which other brands that I follow and that I will order from if the need arises in the future. But as of now, I think I have more than enough, so I'm not shopping anymore. But if you need anything, I always try to respond to people on my DM with the suggestions that I have, in whichever way I can help them. The City We Build says, do you think individual actions have a limit, and at larger level we need a systemic change along the way? Yes, that's a very good question. Of course, individual actions are very small in terms of impact, right? You can alter your actions, but you cannot effectuate change in everybody's life. You cannot change how other people are doing things, right? And ultimately, it's not about what one person is doing, but it's about what we as a race are doing, right? What we as a human species are doing to this planet. So of course systemic change is really really important, but at the same time you cannot undermine the importance of individual action, because if people are not willing to change themselves, how can we expect the system to change, right? So now that we have a lot of people changing their lifestyles or taking up individual actions and stuff, that are more sustainable, that are eco-friendly. So that way is what happens is, those people are more motivated. They lead by example. If you go to a politician and say, or to anybody and say that we want this systemic change, and we want this and we want that, and you tell them a list of demands, they are less likely to take you seriously if you yourself are not doing anything regarding those changes. So for example, if I were to say I want all of my waste segregated, and I want to do this and that and blah blah blah, and I go to my municipality, my local municipality, and I ask them to do it, they might not take me as seriously as opposed to as seriously they would take me if I were doing that at my place, and I knew exactly how the process goes, and I know the right points of contact and who all are in that chain and stuff, right? So that's my point of view, right? Of course everybody has a different point of view. I don't know what you guys think about it, but I feel both systemic change and individual actions go hand in hand, and they cannot be singled out at any stage, and at least we are not at that stage right now, because we need both of them together. So yeah, that was a very good question by the City Build. There's another question that he's asking: what are some of blogs, books you're inspired by? Some of us be really interested to know. Of course. So I'm really really inspired by Greta Thunberg. Surprise, surprise, right? She is one of the main reasons that I became really active, and I realized the power of individual action. So Greta Thunberg is of course one of them. Then there's Dia Mirza. I absolutely adore her. She's an amazing human being. Not that I've met her, not that I know her personally, but seeing from all that she advocates and all that she's a part of, and how she's using her platform and her fame to effectuate change and to bring about good things into the industry and into the world, I really really get inspired by her. So Dia Mirza is definitely one of my inspirations. There are a lot of other people as well, but I don't know, weirdly I can't think of any. No other name is coming to mind at the moment. Okay. Ang Singh is saying, we are the consumer demand creator. If each individual would change, then only impact could be seen. Yes, that's true. And in fact, I feel it's not necessary for everybody to change, but even if a handful of people take a stand. I'm sorry, I have my cat who wants to probably be a part of the live session. You want to come here, Scotch? No, Butterscotch. Oh, he doesn't want to. Sorry. So as I was saying, yeah. So you know, yeah. Of course, we don't have to change everything from scratch, but if a lot of people are, demanding a specific thing, if they're demanding, say, sustainable packaging or sustainable products, then of course there will be companies created to meet those demands. There will be manufacturing lines set up to meet those demands, to fulfill those needs, right? So individual action does matter quite a lot. But at the same time, if we have some regulations from the government, it doesn't hurt anybody. Okay. Okay. What else? Sorry, I'm just going through the comments, guys. Emma Watson. Yes, Emma Watson is also. She's a great figure. She like whatever she does for feminism is something that I really, really admire. She is truly an exceptional person. I mean, there is so much inspiration, right? Like for me, it's not about just famous personalities or some XYZ person. I feel like I get more inspired by people who are living their day-to-day lives, and who are, just regular people, but they're doing everything in their capacity to make some sustainable changes, right? For me, that is kind of more inspiring, because they do not have the platform. They probably don't have a lot of people eyeing what they're doing in every second of their life and stuff, but they are still trying to be more sustainable. They are leading a sustainable lifestyle, so to me that is very inspiring. uh, okay, and yeah, so I think I have answered all your comments. If you guys have any questions, I'm open to. Yeah, the city we built says current logo is amazing. Thank you. It's my best friend is an amazing artist. If any of you are looking to have your logos designed or anything, you can reach out to Drawing Out Loud. It's She has an Instagram page. You can reach out to her Instagram page, and you can get those made as well for yourself. She's exceptional at what she does. So yeah, getting back to what I was talking about, I would also kind of like to discuss what is something that I have discovered through my process, what I feel is something that everybody can do, and is something that everybody should be doing. Is Sorry, I just got a comment and I got distracted by that. It says, what does zero waste mean to you? Don't know if you already spoke about it. No, in fact, I haven't really spoken about it. To me, zero waste means, using the things that you have without, going out and buying the things you want, right? And also not creating waste where you can cut down on it. So to me, that's what it means. For example, I don't go out and buy things that I feel I want anymore. It's about the things that I need, things that I can either recycle or I can compost, are things that I look for now whenever I want to go and buy something. I used to be a huge skincare and beauty fanatic, but now I'm not anymore, because I feel there are ingredients in the kitchen. Um, there are things that we can just buy that are going to be just as useful, that you can replace the conventional beauty or makeup products with. So you can try and use that. So that's just one of those things. Apart from that, like, try to reduce the amount of waste that you produce, right? Yeah, so that's kind of what zero waste means for me. um, Okay, Ank Singh says, yeah, a list of steps, action probably an individual should take to reduce that carbon credit. Yes. Okay, so getting back to what I was trying to discuss. Um, my like for me, I would say take it step by step. When you start out, there are a lot of things that you realize that are wrong. People will tell you, oh, you need to be vegan, or you need to be zero waste, or you also need to stop doing this and you need to stop doing that, and blah blah blah, and it can get overwhelming, right? A lot of people who are anti all of these things, who are anti vegan and anti zero waste or whatever, or the climate deniers, this is what they target us with. They say that we are trying to impose this sort of a lifestyle on somebody, but that is not what this movement is about. This is not about changing your lifestyle or trying to force you to do something that you don't want to. So it's very important to keep in mind that whatever you do needs to be sustainable. Sustainable in the sense that you need to be able to carry on with that for a very long period of time. And it isn't something like a fad. Okay, I really like this and I'm going to do it for a day or two, or probably 2 weeks, and then I'm going to get bored of it and I'm just going to let it go, right? So that is something that you need to realize, right? That it needs to be something that you can take up and start following for a very long period of time. And yeah, so that's one thing that you really need to keep in mind. I generally would like to suggest people to start off with checking out their waste. Try to evaluate what kind of waste you generate. You need to understand what you are consuming on a day to day basis in order to be more sustainable, right? You need to understand what you are consuming in terms of food, in terms of products, beauty products, your clothing products, your XYZ products, right? Across the board. So you need to evaluate that, and you need to see what is it that you can live without, what is it that you are consuming excess of, what is it that you can find a sustainable alternative to. So you need to think about all those things, and that is where I would say you should start. That is the first step according to me. It's the easiest because you're not trying to do something new, but you're just observing yourself, right? You're just introspecting and you're looking at yourself and you're seeing, okay, this is what I eat in a day, this is this is what I buy in terms of clothing, and this is how frequently I buy it. Do I really need it? Not really. If I do need it, is there a sustainable option to that, etc., etc., right? So just try to ask yourselves questions for everything that you do in your day-to-day life. Try to see, is there a more sustainable option to it? If yes, what is something that you can easily adopt, right? Because there are sustainable options, like from a range of 0 to 100, so you can be as sustainable as 100% or 0%, right? So some options may be only 70% sustainable or 80%, and some are like way up there, but they may be too expensive or may take up too much of your time, and they may not be accessible to you, etc., etc. So then you step down and you see what options are available to you and what can you do about it. So that's my advice. Now moving back to some of the questions, the comments. Okay, the CDV build asks me what's definition of conscious consumer in when it comes to make sustainable lifestyle choices. Yeah, so a conscious consumer would be somebody who, according to me, asks the following questions, right? Do you need it? If yes, do you have any other alternative to it? Do you have any sustainable alternatives to it? Can you DIY it, right? Do you have something in your house already that you can use instead? Can you borrow it? So that's the kind of questions that I would ask, that I would say would be a conscious consumer. A person who thinks probably twice before buying something new for themselves. I for sure have spent hours in a grocery market or in any store, just contemplating buying that, that piece of chocolate bar, or buying that piece of chips packet or whatever, I think about it and think about it, and I try to see, oh, is there any other alternative, blah blah blah. So yeah, so that I would say is a conscious consumer. Okay, let's move on to some more. Okay, how much the government of Dubai is active for the sustainability? I would say quite a lot. I hope you can understand that it's not something that I can really really openly discuss, because it's not allowed for us to speak against the government here. So yeah, I mean, I can just say that, just point out some of the things that the government is doing. Um, One thing that they're doing is, um, they have a lot of solar plants here in Dubai, which makes a lot of sense, right? They are actively promoting solar, and solar energy, so that's good. Then there's also, uh, you know what else can I say? There's recycling options available very easily, so that's another plus. Apart from that, I'm not really at liberty to say, because I don't want to run into any legal trouble, right? I hope you can understand that. um, Okay, what step would you take or do for making compost? Okay, so making compost is pretty simple. I'll tell you how I do it. A lot of people like to buy, composters and use those. Those are great, of course, but they are also kind of expensive at the same time. So I do it very simply. I have taken like a big pot, in which I lay down some sand, right, some potting soil, not sand, sorry, potting soil, and then in that I lay down all my wet waste, then some dry waste. So dry waste would include, some leaves, dried out leaves, and some paper waste, some um, anything that for sure is going to biodegrade. So just lay down some paper waste on top of that, and then you cover that with more potting soil, and then you just leave it out, in an open area. And also you need to water it, spritz a little bit of water on it, not too much, because otherwise that water is going to get stagnant, and it's going to cause a whole deal of problems with pests and stuff. So you want to avoid that. But yeah, if you do that, if you have potting soil and you put all your wet waste in, and then some top that up with some dry waste, and then some more potting soil, you should have pretty good compost ready within 2 weeks. Yeah, so that's how I do it. So you don't need to go out there and buy like a branded compost or whatever. If you can afford it, it's amazing. As for the container in which I do it, it's a plastic, what do you say, pot that most people use for planting, for their plants. But I'm using that as a composter. I didn't want to buy a plastic one, but unfortunately I couldn't find any earthen pots here in Dubai. But if you have, of course, if you have any options near you to buy a earthen pot, that is much better than buying a plastic one. Not just because plastic is bad, but also it's better for the compost, because then the air circulation inside the compost is going to be constant. Okay, do you think conscious consumers have lots of power to change the way industry operates? Of course. I mean, it's as simple as, like, okay, let's just look at it from this perspective. Right now, the world is on a lockdown because of COVID-19, right? You can see which things have started, selling less, and what things people are buying lesser of. And there are things that are absolutely necessary, and sales of those things have got skyrocketed, like for example sanitizers, face masks, etc., etc. So of course it's us, as consumers, we are driving the market. So if for example tomorrow we decide, okay, and like we don't have any clothing websites, online clothing websites working anymore, and they're not delivering any new items. I think I don't know about India, but here I don't think there's any clothing delivery happening or whatever. So those numbers have gone down drastically, right? So we understand, okay, food is important, things that kill the virus are important, but something like wearing brand new clothes every single day of the week, blah blah blah, are not as important. So you realize that, and you see that, okay, that reflects in the amount of demand that is being created in the market. And so yeah, of course, conscious consumers can drive the market and will hopefully drive the market someday. Okay, moving on. Rachit Tiwari 1010 asks me, the segregation of waste is a simple thing which should be adopted by everyone now. That's so true, Rachit. I'm so glad that you realize that and that you identify that. I hope more people realize that, because what happens is that people don't realize this. When all of our wet waste and dry waste and all the things that can be recycled get combined, they become unrecyclable, they become uncompostable, they just sit in a landfill. And things that can compost and and turn into something so beautiful, like I don't know if you guys know this, but compost is called black gold. So it's literally like gold. I have used it for my plants, and I have seen the plants grow so much better because of the amount of nutrition in that compost. But we are wasting it all away just because we want convenience, and because we are not accountable for our own actions, and we just want to dump everything into the trash. So yeah, I completely agree. When there is a will, there is a way. Yes, I completely agree to that as well. Check Gardening or Ekta Chaudhary on YouTube. Garden Up or Ekta Chaudhary. It's pretty easy to make compost. Yeah, I think I follow Garden Up as well on YouTube. I'm not sure, because very honestly, I'm really, really bad with names. I forget names like that. It's not because I'm too snobby or whatever. It's just I am not very good with names. So yeah, I think I follow her, and even if I don't, anybody and everybody who's doing something like that, please go and follow them. Okay, I am Satyam Jha is asking me how you compost your waste. I just explained it. I don't know if you uh, managed to catch that, or if I'm running too behind in reading the comments. Okay, first start waste segregation, keep plastic, dry waste separate, then other things follow. Do check on YouTube. Okay, that's nice. People, what are plans for Earth Day? Do you use decomposer? Mm, okay. Okay. So now, the city we built is discussing plans for Earth Day. So yeah, you can follow uh, the city we built or Youth for Climate India, and you can check what they have planned for Earth Day on 22nd April. So yeah, I'm pretty sure they have some really exciting things planned up, and there are so many people who are doing so much for the planet. So anybody and everybody you like, just go follow them, do whatever that they are suggesting, right? Okay, getting some new compost. I'm Satyam Jha is asking, do you use decomposer for compost? No, I do not use any decomposer for my compost. In fact, I do not use anything of that sort. Yeah, I'm not using a decomposer. Okay, Anki Singh says, sorry, not Anki Singh, sorry. Ank Singh says, over government is not conscious for climate change. Why to expect Indian public? Okay, so I don't know if I am getting this question or this comment correctly, but I think you're trying to say that if a government is not conscious about climate change, then why should we expect the public to be conscious about it? Because one thing that we need to understand is that it's going to be the poorest, the least privileged people, and the middle class that's going to suffer the most, right? Which is something that we're observing right now as well. It is the migrant laborers in India and in so many other places that don't have money, that don't have access to food, that don't have access to XYZ number of things. So it's important to understand that it's always the poorest section of society and the lowest section of society that's going to get affected by climate change or any change for that matter. So if you say that why should the public be concerned about that, that is a question you need to ask yourself. Why should you be concerned about the lowest section of society being vulnerable or uh, facing issues? That is a question that you need to ask yourself. Why do you need to care about that? It's as simple as, we as a humankind need to help each other out. We need to help ourselves out as well, because I don't know about you, but I belong to the middle class, and I of course want to protect my own self-interest as well, and I also want to protect people who are more underprivileged than me. So I want to protect their interests. So that is why I care about it, and that is why the public should care about it in general. So that is my reasoning behind it. I don't know about the rest of you guys. Okay, you can share that with me as well. Tell something about your climate activism side. Okay, so yeah, about my climate activism. Well, I have participated in like 2 protests so far. It's because here in Dubai it's not allowed to protest, right, for anything. So when I went back home to India, to Delhi, I was a part of the climate strike and the strike against air pollution and stuff. So that's the protesting part of activism that I have taken part in, and I absolutely loved it. Like, I have never felt more adrenaline rush into my body than when I was there. So that was one amazing experience for me. Apart from that, I do a lot of online activism. I am one of those people who will talk to or debate anybody on the planet about how things are affecting us, and I will try to educate each and every person about every issue that I know about. So I'm that annoying friend. I've had discussions with my friends, with my family members, everybody, trying to tell them, okay, oh, dairy is so bad for you, because it's harming the animals, whatever, even though people don't take very nicely to what I have to say, but I still say it. So that's my activism side. uh, okay, Earth Day plans are surprise, sharing super soon. I'm looking forward to them. I'm really looking forward to what you have planned, because honestly the city we built is doing amazing work, and the 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 page that I am active on right now um, is also doing amazing work. These 2 guys, Rachit and the city we built, they're doing amazing work. So yeah. Project Green says it's the responsibility of everyone to understand about the importance of climate crisis. Yes, it is. It definitely is. Um, I mean, we can say it is every person's responsibility to understand about it, but at the same time, I think it's very important for us to understand that it's a responsibility to make people aware about it, because we live in a time, unfortunately, where people are living in their own bubbles. Everybody has their own shell. Because of social media, they consume the kind of content that they want to see, and they only see that, right? If somebody is, say, is a fashion blogger or some other kind of blogger, they are just seeing fashion related content or the things that they enjoy. Whereas if I am conscious, if I'm eco conscious, then I'm going to see eco conscious posts, and I'm going to engage with that kind of content. So you can't shy away from telling people or educating other people about it, because you need to kind of merge those bubbles together. You need to say that, okay, you are living in that bubble, but there's also this that's happening, and you need to kind of think about this too. So once they realize that, and once they understand, okay, so this is also a potential problem, then they may decide not to care about it, and they may decide not to engage in it, but that's on them. But there are a lot of people that I feel are living in their own bubbles, and they don't have any information because it's kind of being hid from them, right? We have the government that's exploiting the environment. We also have so many companies that are lobbying together to, create climate crisis or aggravate climate crisis. So it is our individual responsibility as well to, educate people that we know or that we don't know or that we come across to, about how this is a crisis. So of course it's individual responsibility, but yeah, I think you get my point, right? um, Snowy for Tintin says, a lesson for people on live. Democracy allows you to ask questions, so let's raise our voice and make sure we listen to the most vulnerable and take actions because the time is now. Yeah, that is such an amazing thing to say. I feel like that message is more relevant now than before because of the times that we are living in, especially in India. Understanding the importance of democracy, understanding the value of your voice, understanding the value of raising your voice is something that's invaluable, right? You need to be able to speak out, speak up, and that is something that democracy allows you to do. And there are a lot of places in this world where democracy is not a choice, it's not being offered to people, and so they are just they're just living in the fate that their government is laying upon them, right? So if you have democracy, if you have a democracy, please exercise your rights to the fullest because you are truly privileged. That's what I would like to say. Okay, response to, if your house is on fire, you don't see what others are doing, but you start with whatever you can do and hope others do their job. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. The city we build. Okay. Another question that I have gotten is, what possibility of climate activism do you have seen in bring change? Sorry. What possibility of climate activism do you see in bring change? I'm sorry, I don't understand that comment as much. I'm sorry. Um, a lot of names still to be spoken for Youth of Climate India. Okay, Rachit Tiwari. All right. So yeah, I think I've been live for over an hour now, and I have discussed everything about myself. I have shared my ideas about sustainability. I've shared what I do and what you could be doing and how you could be doing it, etc. Right? So I'm just going to, I think, wrap up the session now. I don't think I have anything else to add on unless you guys have any other comments or questions for me. So you can follow me on Sustainability Struggles. I try to post there regularly. And I talk about my struggles with sustainability, and I talk about my journey with sustainability. So please go and follow that page as well. I'm also on YouTube, so you can check out my videos there as well. um, what else can I say? Thank you to Youth for Climate India for doing the amazing work that they're doing, and for allowing me to come on their platform and share my story, and for encouraging me to do um, whatever I'm doing. I really, really appreciate the support. Rachit Tiwari says, had a great time. Thank you. That means a lot to me. Okay, I just got a couple of comments. Arju Agarwal says, how can we make those people understand who know the crisis but still be ignorant? Okay, that's a very good question. I feel a lot of people choose to be ignorant about a lot of issues. For example, it just doesn't have to be um, regarding climate change, but a lot of other issues as well. But one way that I try to convince people is try to show them how climate change will affect their lives, right? Try to show them how it can impact them, because unfortunately we live in a world where people are more selfish, and people generally tend to think, by people I'm not trying to sound like I'm some sort of a monk, and I am not any of those things. I'm not claiming any of that, right? I'm also human, so of course all of these traits might exist in me as well. But just speaking of people in general, people tend to be more selfish or self-centered, and they tend to care about things that only affect them, right? There are very few people who actually go out of their way to do something for somebody else. So if you want to convince somebody that climate crisis is an issue, one great way of doing it is trying to highlight things about how it's going to affect them. So for example, if you are trying to talk to a business owner, say you have an uncle in your family's friend circle who is a businessman, and he's like, oh, what is this climate crisis nonsense, why should I care about it, blah blah blah. So you could probably try to tell him, okay, you probably should care about it because say if you're living in a coastal region, there could be increased flooding, so there's going to be no business for you, right? You could lose all of your supplies, etc. Or you could even explain to him or her or whoever that, oh, your children and your grandchildren are going to be facing this kind of an issue. There are going to be more and more problems that are going to crop up. So yeah, you can try to explain that to people. uh, yeah, that is it. Thank you to everybody for appreciating the live session, and I think with this I'm going to wrap up. I hope you enjoyed it, and please, I'm going to plug my channel and my Instagram page again. It's called Sustainability Struggles. Please don't forget to follow, and also like my Instagram page. Yeah, so that's it. I will see you guys later, and if you have anything, if you don't want to follow me or whatever, you can even drop me a DM. I will answer your questions if you have any. You can if some of you were asking me, okay, where can we buy second hand clothing from, and etc etc. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, I can share that with you. So yeah, thank you so much. I'll see you guys later. Bye.